Good afternoon. It's Thursday. It's 3:08 and it's time for you to be adrenalized. That's right, folks. It's time to get that blood flowing and get re-energized. Why? Because you're here. You're alive. You woke up today and it's time for you to be your best self. That's right, folks. Welcome to the Tom Marino Show. I am your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you so much for tuning in today. You know, happy Thursday, everybody. Another week. I tell you, these weeks are just flying by. It always happens in the summer that time is just flying by. So I hope that you're making time to enjoy yourself this summer. I hope that you're taking some vacation, getting some rest. It's really important that you get out there and you relax and you take a break from all of the humdrum of your everyday and all of the drama of your everyday and all of the things that you are doing, and take some time to reset yourself and take care of you. It is essential that you take care of you. All right, before we get into today's show, I want to thank our sponsor, Newhouse Restoration. You can visit Newhouse Restoration at newhouserestoration.com. Call them if you've had a fire, flood, sewer backup, if you have some asbestos that you need removed. Contact Newhouse Restoration at 631-604-8590. That's 631-604-8590. And, you know, just tell Josh and Kristen that Tom Marino sent you. And you know what? I hope, you know, it's another opportunity for you to get back on track out there right now, okay? Today is a new day. And you know what? We have also another new sponsor that's going to be joining our show, Ticket Time USA with my friend Tom. If you need event tickets, he is the guy to call for event tickets. If you don't want to pay those fees that you deal with on StubHub and SeatGeek and all these other channels, you can find him at Ticket Time USA on Instagram. That's Ticket Time USA. And there'll be more to come around our new sponsor. But now the Tom Marino Show has two sponsors very soon, and it's really exciting to be able to do that and to have those people. And I'm so grateful that they are part of this Tom Marino Show family. All right, so today we're going to talk about people pleasing. I have to tell you, over the last several weeks, I've been getting a lot of interaction with some new and prospective clients, and I've had a few new clients join me. And there is this pattern of people pleasing that I keep seeing in the people that are coming. And it's a lot of people who are recently divorced or have been divorced in the last 2 or 3 years, but they're also business owners. They're retired and started a new business, and they are feeling resentful and angry and frustrated and stressed out. So if you feel angry, frustrated, stressed out, and you're resentful of other people, I want you to just take a second and think about it. You may be a people pleaser. And that's what we're going to talk about in the first part of this show today. We are going to talk about people pleasers. Now, we talk about the pleaser saboteur, and we've spoken about the pleaser saboteur in the past. And the pleaser saboteur, is that self-sabotaging behavior that gives you false information about what reality really is and the fears that come up when you are a people pleaser, right? So what is the people pleasing trait? There's actually a psychological term called sociotropy, or a feeling of being overly concerned with pleasing others, and you become anxious, you may be becoming depressed, you may experience this sense of overwhelm, like people don't like you, and that all means that you are susceptible to being a people pleaser, always wanting to make somebody else happy. And I see this a lot in relationships that are going awry, whether it's a marriage or boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend. It's always a matter of some form of resentment that is taking place in the relationship. And I see this in even couples that are co-business owners. Okay, you see this all the time where there is a lot of freedom that one person has because the other person is sitting back running the business, or they don't know how to speak up for what they need. And when you're a people pleaser, it is very difficult for you to speak up and say exactly what you need. If you're just tuning in, this is Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show. I wanted to make sure we came on here and spoke a little bit about people pleasing, because I do see that it is coming up a lot. And it's really, when I start to see patterns within the people that I'm working with, I think it's important to bring those things to the surface and have a conversation about that. So here are some signs that you may be a people pleaser. Okay, there's a number of characteristics. So let's go. The first is you have a difficult time saying no. All right, so for those of you who just stopped short because you recognize that you say no often, you can't say no, you have a very difficult time saying no, you have to learn how to say yes to the right things. And make sure that you're not saying yes to the wrong things. Saying no is a good boundary. Saying no creates a boundary. The word no is a boundary. No, I will not do that. No, I'm not able to do that. You may be preoccupied with what other people might think. So there again, there's some judgment there. You're worried about what other people are going to say and think about what you're doing if you don't satisfy what it is that they want from you, right? You may feel guilty when you tell people no. You are allowed to tell people no. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel guilty that you're saying no. The key is that you have to allow yourself to be confident in that no. You fear that turning people down will make them think that you are mean or selfish. You agree to things you don't like to do or things you don't want to do. You struggle with feelings of low self-esteem. You want people like you to like you and feel that doing things for them will earn you their approval. Okay? One of the things that's really important is recognizing that you don't need other people's approval. You only need the approval of yourself. And when you say yes to the wrong things, you only question yourself and you become doubtful of yourself. It plays on your self-confidence. It plays on your self-confidence when you don't say no to something you know you should say no to. You neglect your own needs in order to do things for others. How many of you out there right now are saying, I am tired of doing so much for everybody else. When is somebody going to do something for me? And the answer to that question is that nobody's going to do something for you until you do something for you. Neglecting your self-care is a sign that you are a people pleaser. Because if you can neglect your own needs, if you neglect what it is that you need to do, you are causing your own resentment for other people because you don't know how to say no. You pretend to agree with people even though you feel differently. Have you ever been in that situation? You go to a party, you're in a group of people you really don't know, but you want the people to like you. You're standing around and all of a sudden there's a conversation and you really don't agree with the context of that conversation, but you go along because you want people to like you, because you're worried about what other people are going to say about you. And if you say something that's contradictory, if you say something that's a contra-argument to what is being stated in the conversation, it may cause you to be pushed aside by that group. But frankly, do you want to be fake? Part of the way of setting yourself free from being a people pleaser is to speak the truth. All right, so listen, if you are a people pleaser, I want to hear from you. Go to my website at tommarino.com. That's tommarino.com. Fill out a contact form. And listen, if you're struggling with this and you need a little bit of help of getting out of being a people pleaser, we're going to talk a little bit more after the next commercial break about people pleasers and some other things that go into it. But text me, 516-588-0750. That's 516-588-0750. And let's set up a time for you to chat with me, and I can help you move past this. I can help you to be less resentful and be happier and be less of a people pleaser. We'll talk to you right after this break. Hey, this is Tom Marino of The Tom Marino Show here. Imagine you wake up and you've had a major sewer backup in your home. Well, let me tell you about a company that I've worked with personally, New House Restoration, where they take your damaged old house and make it a new house. For any water, fire, mold, or asbestos damage, please call them at 631-604-8255. 631-604-8590. That's 631-604-8590. Newhouse Restoration. And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you so much for tuning back in on this Thursday afternoon, July 28th, 2022. It's been a great day, for all you Yankee fans out there. I want to send my condolences on your 2 losses last night to my Mets. It was so much fun to watch the Mets and the Yankees play. I'm really excited. And you know what? I hope that there's not just 2 more games left between the 2 teams. I really hope that we get to the World Series and we have the opportunity to play each other there, because I think both of us deserve to be there. So, today is a great Thursday, and we're talking about being a people pleaser. And, there's a lot of things that lead people to develop this trait of being a people pleaser. One of those things is poor self-esteem. Poor self-esteem will definitely get in the way when people, it's really the self-confidence that's lacking. And when people are people pleasers, it's because they need an external validation, and they feel like doing things for others will lead to approval and acceptance, right? We talked a little bit about that in the beginning of the show. Really, people pleasing is about self-esteem and self-confidence. If you don't feel very confident in yourself, if you are afraid to go into situations where you're meeting new people and you want people's approval, of course, we all want people to like us and be friendly with us, but we don't have to expect everyone to like us and be friendly with us. People who are going to gravitate to you are going to gravitate to you because of your self-confidence. And if you have a lower self-confidence, you can attract lower self-confident people. If you have a higher self-confidence, a higher self-esteem, you're going to attract people with the same. And the key is that it's okay to have your own opinions. You got to give yourself that freedom to have your own opinions. You're allowed to have your own opinion. You don't need other people to approve of everything that you say. It's become very stressful in our society these days because we can't have the conversations that we used to have, politically speaking. I remember growing up, and I remember a time where you could actually have a conversation between 2 differing opinions, and people could be cordial to each other and hear what each other had to say. But I feel what's projected out there today, it's very difficult to do that. And that's where people pleasers are really going to struggle. Because if you have strong opinions on something and you're afraid to express them, you're going to become resentful of other people. You're going to become resentful of yourself, and it's going to add stress to you. So don't be insecure, because insecurity is another thing that predisposes us to have a people pleaser trait. Past experiences also, and I always talk about trauma and the impact of trauma on our lives, and abuse. If you have been a victim of abuse, pleasing your abuser is often something that develops this people pleaser, and that is a very difficult thing to break. And I want to acknowledge that is not an easy thing for people to break a habit of, but it's just sometimes easier to be agreeable with that person so that you avoid being abused or hit or even suffering from emotional abuse around that. It's very hard to push back. So you become very agreeable. But what happens is you become very agreeable in many aspects of your life. So, we want people, I don't want you to see people pleasing as this negative thing though. I want you to see it as creating an awareness, right? So if you're listening to this and you're like, all of a sudden you're realizing that you do a lot of people pleasing, it's probably the reason why you're anxious and stressed, because the effects of being a people pleaser are anxiety and stress, depleted willpower, lack of authenticity, weaker relationships, right? Relationships that are based on people pleasing. It's because you've been so agreeable with your partner. You've become so agreeable with your partner that you no longer push back on issues. So you just go along with it. But eventually, that agreeing to things that you shouldn't be agreeing to, those are going to impact your relationship in a very negative way. Because the day you stand up for yourself, the day you say what you need and you don't go along, you're now going to create conflict that may not be resolved in a very healthy way, because it's a change, right? You can't go from being very agreeable all the time to disagreeing. You have to always have your opinions, and you have to always be willing to express your opinions and not let that get in the way of your relationship. You have to be able to state what you need in order to build and foster your relationship. So being agreeable actually develops a much weaker relationship. And that's where and why it's been validated for me over the last several weeks that several of my new clients are people who are going through a divorce, because they feel as though their entire marriage, they've just been agreeing with their partner. They haven't been able to express what they need. They haven't been able to put that into action and be clear on what they need from that person or what they just need in life in general. And that has caused a lot of conflict for them. And when you wake up and you recognize, oh my goodness, I'm a people pleaser. Oh my goodness, this really isn't true. I'm allowed to say what I want to say. I don't need other people's approval. The only approval I need is the approval of myself. So how do we get past that? How do we start to approve of ourselves? Well, the first thing is you got to love yourself. You have to look at yourself and say, I love you too much, and I respect you way too much for you to continue to put up with something that you don't need to put up with. You don't need to agree to everything if it goes against what you're thinking or what you're feeling or what you're saying. It's a part of establishing boundaries, right? I talk about establishing boundaries all the time. Boundaries allow for better communication and create limits and are specific and clear, and they help you to create the space for yourself. You might, you might have a difficult time creating the boundary or enforcing the boundary, and that's where expectations come in. Being able to say what you need, being able to say what it is, that creates the expectation to maintain that boundary of what you want, right? You can't block time on your schedule and then your spouse says, oh, and you let your spouse know, I blocked this time on my schedule to work this afternoon. Then your spouse can't come to you and say, well, I need you to do this if you've already set the expectation, if you've already put in that your time is occupied. So you've got to create the expectation, and that will improve the boundary. Start very small. You don't have to change a lot. Just start to speak up a little bit more. And part of speaking up comes from developing a lot of positive self-talk. You have to be positive in what you're telling yourself. You can't be saying, if I say no, they're going to hate me. They're not going to like me. They're not going to love me anymore. Don't say those things. Say, you're great. You know what you need. You know what you want. You're going to do this. And if somebody doesn't like it, then maybe that's okay. That's okay that they don't like it. You don't have to like everything about somebody else, and somebody doesn't have to like everything about you. But when we get into that people-pleasing frame of mind, we keep going along with that. And it causes additional stress. And it really creates that lack of authenticity. It creates a relationship that is not truthful. That is a big, big thing to recognize. Is that by always being agreeable, you're developing a weak relationship with the person that you're with. And it's the same thing at work. If you are always agreeable, your boss is going to take advantage of you. Your boss is going to always push things to you, and you're going to wind up overwhelmed and stressed out that you can't get done what you need to get done. The other thing is, don't be afraid to ask for time to consider what it is that somebody is asking you to do. If you really want to say no and you're not ready to say no, ask for the time. Take a little bit of time and then get back to that person. All right, so if you are a small business owner, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are someone who is recently divorced or getting divorced and you really need some help putting the pieces back together in your life, helping you to be less of a people pleaser, I want you to reach out to me. Text me at 516-588-0750. That's 516-588-0750. And let's set up a time to chat and help you to overcome your people pleasing, to stop telling you those negative lies, to start talking positive to yourself and overcome this thought that you have to have other people's approval. All right, this is Tom Marino. I won't be here next week, but I will be here. You'll be able to listen to me. All right, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Until then, choose your adrenalized life.